possibility, and you know, there is some music made for sure.
What's stopping y'all from getting married? Now, y'all already did one of those secret industry weddings.
No, there has not been a secret industry marriage. I think that it's a little personal, you know what I mean? But just like, to be real with you, just like any people who have dealt with love, we've had our ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's still finding the right navigation through it all. I don't know if to me, marriage symbolizes like the best relationship. You know, people be like, oh, you got to get married. To me, I feel like having a relationship is first and foremost, and like marriage is a byproduct of that. And I feel like a lot of people get the idea of like, oh, you have to get married. But then it's like, to me, that's almost a fear-based way of thinking too, because then people be getting divorced. The divorce rate's so fucking high. And I am someone who, I'm not like discounting anything, and I'm not saying that we aren't gonna get married. But what I'm saying is that it's just, I would like to do a lot. I would like to, and I don't like putting our personal business out there like that either. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done, I feel like, in general.
Well, take it from somebody who's been with their woman for 26 years, right? It's always gonna be ups and downs.
Period.
The work's never gonna stop.
Yeah.
Especially raising
26
kids.
years?
Been with her 26 years. Got married in 2014.
Welcome back to the channel. I am so glad you guys came to hang out. You see the information on the screen, so let's get to it. So right now, Jhene and Big Sean, a lot of people have been talking about it because of that particular interview that you just saw. And the fact that, Big Sean is basically saying, I don't really know if I'm going to marry or when I'm going to marry, and I don't want the pressure of marriage and blah, 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 right? And so as I, again, direct you to the information on the screen, which talks about what? Marriage. And this whole channel is all about marriage. And if you've been tracking with me, for a couple of videos or a couple of weeks, you already might even know the direction that I'm going in, right? But this is how I'm going to start this, and I'm just going to be real about it very quickly so everybody can get their hit. And if that's all you want, you can get that hit, and then you can go ahead and turn off the video and move on with your life today, right? Everything that he said right there, remember, what he's talking about. He's been with her for a very long time. I'm also looking at an article on BET's website, and they've basically been around each other since 2016. So at least 8 years, according to BET, they've been hanging around with each other. And in that amount of time, and see, this is where a lot of women get frustrated. That was not enough time, which you just saw, for Big Sean to make, Jhene his forever person, right? He's still saying, well, things got to be right. The relationship, we got to get it. I look at marriage as being something that's perfect. And maybe, just maybe, he's idolizing marriage. Okay? Maybe he's doing that. And I know that that's a real thing. It truly is a real thing. Where people think that a marriage is this, people are floating around and always in love and all this other kind of stuff like that, right? But that's not how marriage works. It doesn't work like that at all. Okay, marriage is two people fighting every day to stay together, right? And again, I think unfortunately, in the generational Black community here in America, a lot of people don't understand marriage. And that's why I think a lot of people make mistakes with marriage. They get into marriage thinking it's going to be one way, or avoid marriage thinking it's going to be another way. See, marriage is not, in love, honestly, which is the core of marriage, love is not an emotion. Love is a contract. When we look at the Bible, what we see is that love is not really this emotional, romantic thing that we really push here in America. Love is more like, okay, I'm going to respect you. I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to work hard with you. I am going to do life with you and do my best to be the best that I can be for you. That's really what love is. Romantic love is really more like infatuation. It's more like the puppy love side of things, as we want to call it. And that puppy love energy will never, ever sustain a marriage, because love has to come from a place of, honestly, of maturity. That's really where real love comes from. And one of the problems with a lot of people out here when it comes to marriage, and again, you all have heard me say this before, marriage is not for everyone. It's not. And if you want to have a girlfriend, boyfriend mindset, and if you do not want to be committed to a person, and if you don't want, all that comes with marriage, then don't get married. I really don't understand why people are fighting over that, to be honest with you. You don't have to get married. You can go through your life the way you want to go through it and be happy. Marriage is for certain people. It is not for others. Anyone, can come out here and actually truly get married if you're willing to put in the work. But again, I've said it over and over again that marriage is work. It is not people sitting around, like I say, on the beach somewhere chilling or always cuddled up in the house. Who you think is going to feed people? How do you think the walls are going to get painted? How do you think the electricity bill is going to get paid? All of these things are work. How's the grass going to get cut? If you have any children, who's going to take care of them? Okay, all these things are work. And it doesn't mean that the woman is doing one thing and the man is doing another. There's plenty of men that love to cook. There are a lot of men that take care of their babies more and better than women do. There are a lot of women who deal with postpartum and really don't even need to get close to the baby because they might do something bad, because they're dealing with, some emotional things. So marriage is for people who are trying to build legacy. Marriage is for people who are trying to work into the, generational blessings. Marriage is for people who really want to be in that committed situation, right? And then these people also want to honor God. That's like, and I could go on and on, but I mean, that is just a few of the things that marriage is for. But again, let's get into it. So if that's all you wanted, hey, knock it out, but let's go deeper now. One of the things that I'm always talking about is that you have to find people that walk in spouse energy. Now, me, I don't know Jhene. Actually, believe it or not, she's actually one of my favorite artists. I'm not even going to lie about it. I loved watching her at the Super Bowl, even though they butchered her name and things like that, which they actually had to do an apology for. And, I actually have, a couple of her albums. And like I say, I do like her. Now, her songs, she sings them a certain way, but I'm just being real. They flow with me. She has a nice R&B soul, type of things that she pushes. And that right now, to me, is some of the best music that's coming out. And I haven't been, really leaning into a lot of the newer hip hop. I'm just not a fan of a lot of that stuff. That being said, when this came across my feed, I was very interested in it. Not just because of, the fact that this is just trending news, but also the fact of, oh, wow, this is actually an artist that I actually buy and I keep up with. I know you hear me always talking about her, on this channel because she has a certain energy, right? And actually, Jhene and her have done some collabs. So some of you might know that and some of you might not, right? So again, this kind of moves me a little bit, but I don't really know her. I don't know her in who she is as a person. So I can't say if she's truly walking in spouse energy or not, right? But spouse energy is spouse energy. Just because somebody has money or they have a style that you like, or they walk in a way that you're used to or not used to, or even when you look, at Big Sean and you like, well, I like the way he does his clothes. I like the way he has his cornrows in his hair. And I like the fact he has the earrings and different things like that, right? You might say, okay, well, that's my dude, for women watching. And they're saying, oh, I love that style. I love that in men. Okay, well, that's fine. But is he husband material? See, in that interview, it showed that he's not ready to be a husband. It's been at least 8 years of their relationship, and he's not ready to commit. See, husbands are going to be ready to commit very quickly. They don't want to be out in boyfriend mode, because boyfriend mode feels weird to men that walk in husband energy. And it's the same thing for women that walk in wife energy. This is why so many, you'll have people even out here on YouTube or on Instagram or on TikTok, that women that will actually say that once they kind of understood wife energy, they got married quickly. Some of them will be like, oh, I got married in a year. I got married in 9 months. I got married in, 18 months. They even themselves can't believe it. Why? Because a woman that is walking in wife energy, she's not going to even deal with a man that's walking in boyfriend energy. See, a lot of the women right now that might be watching, and even some of the men, they might say, hey, the women might be saying, hey, if I ran into Big Sean, I'd date him. I'd date him. And a lot of men might say, if I ran into Jhene, I would date her. But the whole concept here is, if you are a marriage-minded person, if you're a marriage-worthy man or a marriage-worthy woman, you might start to go in, but generally within 3 months, and that's why I'm always saying that 90-day, generally within that time, you're going to be done with it. You're going to see that these people are not ready to commit, believing that Jhene is along for that ride. Because remember, she's okay with 8 years. She has to be okay with 8 years because she's still with him. That shows right there that she's still walking in a little bit of girlfriend energy, or she's suppressing, because like I said, we didn't hear her story. So I'm not trying to put words in her mouth or put an energy on her that she doesn't have. But she's still allowing for this relationship to go on, for an extended period of time without marriage. A woman that is truly walking in wife energy, she's not going to allow that to happen to her. She's going to quickly get out of that relationship because she sees it's not going anywhere. Wives don't like to not be covered. They want to be covered by their husband. So they're going to feel weird. It's going to be awkward. And sooner or later, they're going to be like, I got to get out of this. I've got to move in a direction that's actually going to get me to my husband. And a lot of people believe that there's not a lot of people walking in that energy when it comes, to black people, honestly. But the truth is, there's plenty of them. They're everywhere. And that's why I say I really can't right now talk about Jhene, because I don't know if it's in her or not. See, she could be suppressing it, trying to make this relationship work. And by suppressing her true wife energy, she's basically saying, well, I'm just going to deal with it. I'll just go along to get along, blah, blah, blah. And through that, she's creating a scenario where she's allowing this to happen. And see, let's be real. A lot of women go through this. A lot of women go through this. And see, what'll happen is, and I'm just going to be real for the ladies that is watching, a lot of you, what you do is you'll deal with this. You actually, I'll be real. Like I said, I've dated women that have dealt with this, and they'll do it 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And the man never really commits. And generally, if they're in their late 30s, that's when they start to say, hold on, well, if you're not ready to propose to me in a year, I'm gone. But usually in their early 30s and late 20s, they might let a man string them out for 3, 4, 5 years. But the problem is husband-minded men, these marriage-worthy men on the other side, when they come to you, right? And even if you broke away, even if you had wife energy and you broke away, now you need healing. And so now you got to go through this healing process. And even on the other side of that healing process, that man has imprinted a sexual energy on you. Right? Because I know you ain't been with him for 5 years and y'all ain't done nothing. You're not going to lie to me. You're not going to lie to God. You ain't going to lie to the Holy Spirit. Y'all been doing something. Right? So now you're in a situation where you have this better man that you found. You're like, oh crap, I found me a husband energy man. But then the husband energy man is like, you need more time to get away from the energy of this dude, because the energy of that dude's still all over you. His imprint is on you, in you, through you. It is you are dripping with it. And so now some of these marriage-minded men may reject you because of the pain, frustration, and everything else that you're dealing with from the first man. And this is why I'm always trying to tell people, you don't have to stay in these situations. And there are people, like I just did an interview, but you guys are not going to see it for a while. And in that particular interview, the guy that I was talking to, he was saying that he doesn't really believe in dating. And I think he's using the dating concept here of being girlfriend and boyfriend for an extended period of time, right? And he even said, I'm not against people going out together. I'm just not with them kind of, hanging out for an extended period of time. And then they're saying, that they're trying to work on the relationship and try to build it. And I think, again, Anton Daniels, who's out here, and some of you all follow him, I think that's really what he's saying as well. And one of the things that I'm always saying is, like I said, you look at that 90 days, and in that 90 days, that is your dating time. The dating only exists in that 90 days. And in that time, you're trying to evaluate the person. You're not trying to give that person your heart. You're not trying to say, I'm going to be with you forever. You're just trying to say, okay, I am going to see what you're about. We're going to go out. We're going to hang out a little bit. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I'm trying to see what you're about. And you don't have to go to the full 90 days. I mean, you can end it after 2 weeks. You can end it after one date. But the purpose here is to understand who this person is. And by the time you make it beyond 90 days and you're heading towards 180, you should almost have a 50-50 mindset where this person is either going to marry me and I'm going to marry them, or I am going to see if there's a little bit more that I'm missing in this 90 days to give them a little bit more time to figure out if this can work. So basically, by the time you get to 90 days, it should almost be a 50-50 chance that you marry the person. And if you're not there at the 90-day mark, you really need to, be like, okay, well, thank you for hanging out and let's move on, right? And then as you get to, like I say, that 91st day, or, like I say, it's never exactly on the day. It might even be 100 days, 120 days. But once you get to that point, there should be a move towards courting. And courting is when you're saying, okay, I'm concentrating on this relationship for the purpose of marriage. And now I'm seeing us be together forever. So what is your credit looking like? What are your future dreams? I know you probably would have already talked about them a little bit, but you need to go deeper. Okay, what are going to be, what, if we have some kids, what might their names be? I mean, even though that doesn't matter as much, it's like those little details should be coming out. And honestly, by the time you get to the 7th or 8th month, at this point, both people really should be looking for that date of when they're going to get married. It doesn't mean necessarily that the man on, 7 months in, he's immediately going to, get down on a knee. He might just want some time to air things out and different things like that and prepare how he's going to do the engagement. But if a man at around 7 or 8 months or even 9 months is not seriously considering marriage, with a woman or with you, for the ladies that are watching, then you don't need them. And see, the problem is, and this is where so many women get hurt, is because they hang around with men that are boyfriends. And they want the boyfriend, okay, to act like a husband. And that really is the problem. They want the boyfriend to act like a husband. Okay? Ladies, you all know, okay, that if you go into Marshalls, if you go into TJ Maxx, okay, some luxury items like a Coach bag, a YSL bag, certain shoes that you all like, okay, Gucci, all this other kind of stuff, Prada, they don't sell that at TJ Maxx. No matter how much you want TJ Maxx and Marshalls because of their really great sales, You're not going to find it in there. It's just not going to happen. You have to go to the stores, okay, that sell that stuff, right? So it's the same thing. You cannot go to a boyfriend, no matter how good he looks on the outside, no matter how shiny he is, no matter how great he is of a talker. You cannot go to him for husband energy. He doesn't have it. It's not in him, especially if he's over 30. It's not in him, right? Okay, generally speaking, like I said, 30 to 40 for men, that is that time where a lot of men are starting to really figure out life, but that husband energy should be in them. It should be in them, right? There's going to be a maturity in there. And people, a lot of, like I say, generational black people, they don't really get that. Because like I've told you guys before, Christian Singles Connect is the group, that I am one of the lead organizers on, and we do open forum conversations. And so we had this guy one time came out, and we couldn't see his face. We just saw his name, up on the screen, and because we do a Zoom call. And so he's basically, discussing some issues, things like that. And almost all the women were very intrigued by this man and the way that he spoke, and all his other kind of stuff. And so a lot of the women, they wanted to know, like, how old are you? Because they were like, I might want to talk to you. And he basically told them, he was like, okay, I'm 25. And most of the women were floored. They were like, what? You're more mature than half of the guys we know. And you're only 25? I mean, because the average age, over at CSC, it fluctuates, but it's generally between 35 and 45. That's generally the average age, right? So a lot of the women were really floored, by this information. And then I kind of already knew. I knew where the guy was going. And I asked him two questions. I said, first question I asked him, I said, did you come from a two-parent household, and was your father a strong patriarch that loved you? And he was like, yes. And then the second thing I asked him, which I also kind of knew, was, I was like, are you from, the continent of Africa, one of the countries in Africa? And he was like, yes, I am. See, it's a totally different mindset. Totally different mindset. Their mindset is, okay, maturity. By the time a person's 25, they are mature. See, Americans are still trying to figure it out, because our culture encourages people to stay in immaturity. Because when you're in immaturity, people can take advantage of you. And so it's so important to understand these things. And that's why I'm always trying to encourage you all, okay, there's a lot of different ways to look at things out here. You can look at it from the lens of, okay, these are the average people around me, and I'm going to deal with these average people. Or you can say, I am going to change the people around me. I'm going to change the information that's going up in here, and I'm going to elevate myself. Because again, I see people in the comments, I just did, a video with someone, on Proverbs 31 University, and it was kind of fun, doing that over there. But people will pop up in the comments and they will say things like, where do you meet these guys? The guys you're talking about, Jay, where do you meet them? Or the women you're talking about, Jay, where do you meet them? And because they'll basically say, I can't meet them. I don't see these guys like that. And I'm always saying, again, you have to elevate your group. You can't stay in your group. You can't hold on to the past, especially if the past isn't what you wanted, and then think you're going to get to the future. It's like people say, you are the average, right, of the 5 people that are closest to you. And I find that 9 times out of 10, 90% of the time, that is a very true statement. So how do you get to a place where you make more money? How do you get to a place where you actually are get married? It's just like I tell women all the time, and I tell men, if you want to get married, hang around married people. That's what you have to do. Married people will get you married, or at least people who are leaning into marriage, who want marriage, who think marriage is important. Those are the people that get you married, right? You can't hang out with single people and think that single people can get you married, because their advice in itself, okay, is damaging. Because they're just going to teach you how to be more single, like them. And they don't know that they're doing it, but they are. If you've never been taught, okay, how to bake a cake, you've never been taught, how do you know how to bake it? But the person that has baked it a million times, they know how to bake it. So they can teach you. Even the person that's baked it a while and decided not to bake it for 7 years, like a person that got divorced. If they have no problems with baking the cake, they can teach you. But a person that has no energy or no understanding of baking a cake, someone who comes from 2 or 3 generations of single moms or even single dads, how can they teach you how to bake a cake? Okay? I was married for 18 years. And yes, I'm divorced right now, but I was married for 18 years. And I still love marriage. All right? So that's a heck of a long time. You know, and I learned a lot during that time. And there are other people, other influencers out here that are in the same boat, where they were either married for a long time and maybe now they're divorced, or they're still married. And they might be married 20 years or 15 years. But I would actually, you know, really check yourself if you're just hanging around with people that all they want to do is manipulate the single system. But anyway, back to this. It's all up to you that are watching. You can either go out here and you can find someone and you can hang out with them and you can love and feel good in that boyfriend-girlfriend energy, or you can find someone with spouse energy. And like I said, it's a totally different vibe. It is a totally different walk. And for some of you, it's going to scare you. And for some of you, okay, it's going to feel like freedom for the first time. But it's up to you to make that choice. It's up to you to make it happen for yourself. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. There's information down in that description that will help you, that will bless you. And I know that subscribe button just loves to glow every single time I say subscribe, because it's calling your name right now. It's saying subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. So go ahead and subscribe and like, and I am going to see you all in the very next video.